And now the race between Phil Berger Jr. and Judge Linda Stevens. We're going to start with Mr. Berger. And the question for Phil Berger Jr. is, as you know, this forum is being sponsored by the NCADA. Our association is made up of more than 900 North Carolina lawyers and paralegals devoted to advocating and protecting the interests of North Carolina employers, businesses, insurers, and defense attorneys, in that order. Many of our members are in the audience today, and they are joined by representatives of our clients. Please tell us why we should cast our vote for you on Election Day. Mr. Berger.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Phil Berger. I'm a candidate for the North Carolina Court of Appeals. Let me first say, Judge Eagles, my dad has not endorsed me yet. He says I'm not as conservative as he is. We have a bit of a back and forth about that, but anyway, my name is Phil Berger. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. A little bit about my background. I started off in private practice in Eden, graduated from law school at Wake Forest, and went into the family business with my father and my brother. Practiced there for about 7-8 years and then ran for district attorney. As district attorney, we completely changed the culture in the Rockingham County Courthouse from one that, quite frankly, gave away the courthouse in many matters that they shouldn't have, to one that was aggressive in prosecution and held people accountable. In that capacity as district attorney, I had the pleasure of serving as president of the North Carolina Conference of District Attorneys. My 43 of my colleagues elected me to represent them in matters that went before the North Carolina legislature, and I worked to improve the administration of justice in criminal matters while I served in that capacity. I now serve as an administrative law judge, and how many business owners do we have out there today? Okay, well, a handful up here, but a handful out there as well, right? So if you're not familiar with administrative law or the Office of Administrative Hearings, I have been assigned some of the most complex employment law and environmental law cases that there are. And it's that background and that experience in business regulation that I think makes me a valuable asset to individuals that you represent and the business owners out there in the audience today. Let me give you just an example. Recently, the information that came out of Charlotte that Mecklenburg County created 2,500 jobs, I believe it was the last quarter, was considered big economic news. And it was. 2,500 jobs means 2,500 people who get the opportunity to go to work and provide for their families every day. Now, I want to tell you about my experience as an administrative law judge when 250 jobs are at stake based on the interpretation of a regulation. I submit to you that it is important to have individuals who, when they look at the Constitution, see it as a legal text, not a living document. When they look at those regulations, that they see those regulations as legal text, not living documents in which they can insert their opinions and their beliefs. That's important to maintaining predictability in economic development. And that's an important role that judges can play. Every decision that a judge makes has an impact on the economy. Every decision a judge makes has an impact, whether it's on a small business owner, a mother and a father, or a large multinational corporation. And if you don't have judges that understand the impact of their decisions, then you've got a judge that is potentially hostile to business. And if you have a judge that is hostile to business, you have a judge that is not right for this state and not right for the economy. Because of my experience, I am supported by groups like the North Carolina Beer and Wine Wholesalers, North Carolina's Home Builders, North Carolina Bail Agents Association. That runs the gamut, from big business to small business. Also individuals from various interests like veterinarians and large corporations who create jobs every day. Just a little bit about my philosophy. Again, I mentioned that I am someone who does not see the Constitution, or any legal document for that matter, as a living document. I see it as a legal text. That's important because we need judges who use common sense when they interpret regulations and laws. We need judges who follow the law. And as your judge on the Court of Appeals, I promise you, I will not legislate from the bench. My name is Phil Berger, candidate for the North Carolina candidate for the North Carolina Court of Appeals. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Berger. And now Judge Linda Stevens, current Associate Judge of the North Carolina Court of Appeals. Her question is, there's a Latin phrase that translates into judgments frequently become matured by deliberations, never by hurried process or precipitation. Other than the appellate record, briefs submitted by the parties and oral argument, what sources do you rely upon to help you reach a decision matured by deliberation? Judge Stevens.
Thank you, David, and good morning. Thank you also, NCADA leaders and members, for organizing and providing this opportunity for judicial candidates to speak to you about their qualifications to be an appellate court judge and to earn your endorsement. For almost 22 years, before I was sworn in as a new judge on the Court of Appeals in February 2006, I practiced law as a civil defense attorney. In August 1984, I became the first female associate at the Raleigh law firm of Teague, Campbell, Dennis, and Gorham. Eventually, I became the first female partner of my firm. Within a year of joining my firm, I became a member of this association. I was the third female member and vocal about my gender from the beginning. For example, when I received my certificate of membership recognizing him as a member in good standing, I sent it back, pointing out that I'm a her, not a him, and observing tongue-in-cheek that the wrong membership certificate had probably been inadvertently sent to me. Of course, there were no her membership certificates at that time, but there soon were. I came to meetings and continued to make my point. Another example, objecting when the always male CLE speakers in those early days addressed the audience as gentlemen. And slowly but surely, my voice was heard consistently, and change happened. In 2001, I became the first female president of the North Carolina Association of Defense Attorneys. This organization has grown by leaps and bounds since then to truly be an inclusive association of professionals in every sense of the word. But I don't ask for your support simply because I was one of you for 20 years. I ask for your support because I am the most qualified and experienced candidate for the Stevens seat on the Court of Appeals, and because I have the right judicial temperament for the work of a Court of Appeals judge. When I joined the court, I brought 27 years of experience as a lawyer to the bench, 22 years in civil private practice, 4 years as a deputy commissioner on the North Carolina Industrial Commission, 1 year as a law clerk on the court where I now serve as a judge. I've been doing the work of a Court of Appeals judge for 10 and a half years, building a solid record as a respected and well-liked jurist with broad bipartisan support. I am now the only member of the court with a background in workers' compensation expertise. And I have objective evidence that I truly am a fair and impartial judge. Last year, this association honored me with its highest award, the J. Robert Elster Award for Professional Excellence. I am the first woman to receive your highest award. This year, the North Carolina Advocates for Justice, the plaintiffs' bar, honored me with their Outstanding Appellate Judge of the Year award. I am the only person to date to receive the highest awards from both the plaintiffs and the defense bar. I think that speaks volumes about my judicial temperament, and I have been endorsed by former Chief Justices and Justices of the North Carolina Supreme Court, former Chief Judges and Judges of the North Carolina Court of Appeals from both major political parties. And that is how it should be for judges. I do not consider myself a politician, and I believe that partisan politics should play no role in the selection of judges, who instead should serve and speak with an independent, nonpartisan voice. Turning now to my question, there are so many sources that help me reach that decision matured by deliberation. First and foremost is simple patience, letting the case and the issues turn over and over in my brain as I think about and work through the hard parts and the nuances. Constantly reminding myself that fast and furious is no better, or not better rather, than slow and thoughtful. But of course, that process is typically reserved for the truly hard and unique cases. For so many of the cases that we decide at the Court of Appeals, established precedent exists to dictate that decision. So solid research to find that precedent is crucial. If precedent exists at either the North Carolina Supreme Court or the Court of Appeals, that precedent dictates the outcome, even if I don't personally agree with the result. In those rare cases where there may be no controlling precedent to guide my decision-making, I often consider case law from other states and the federal bench. It isn't binding, but it may be instructive and persuasive. But I find that, as in private practice, old-fashioned discussion with my colleagues, that talking out loud about the case is one of the best ways to reach a thoughtful decision, matured by deliberation. Thank you so much. I would appreciate your support.
Thank you, Judge Stevens.